So, good afternoon and welcome, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all here today. On behalf of AARP of California, San Diego Center, welcome to the San Diego Scam Jam. We're so glad you've joined us here at the San Diego Tierra Santa Seventh-day Adventist Church. As you notice, I'm referring to my notes a lot because this is one of the first events we've done. My name is Diana Torres. I'll be your MC for today's program. I am an AARP volunteer and being wonderfully guided over here by Tiffany Zhang, and I'll say a little bit about Tiffany later. Before I proceed with today's agenda, I'd like to thank and acknowledge those who made this important event possible. Of course, our space location hosts the Seventh-day Adventist Church for generously providing this wonderful space and air conditioner. What more could you want, right? And these comfortable chairs. Cassandra Hanrahan from the Tierra Santa village of San Diego. Wave. I'm sure some of you know her already. She did. That's why we have such a great turnout because of Cassandra. Mark back there for his AV support. I know nothing about AV, so I'm very happy that we've got his support here. And of course, the rest of the AARP volunteer team, Connie Bailey and Renee Livingston, who's been checking you in. This is one of the many ScamJam events AARP is bringing to various locations in San Diego County. These events are all about protecting you, your loved ones in the communities from fraud and scams. As far as today's agenda, here's what you can expect. A scam prevention expert, Tiffany, will provide a presentation to you. You'll be provided with some critical tips and tools to help you stay safe, as well as cover the top scams happening here in San Diego County. As time permits, there will be some time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. And each one of you should have received an opportunity ticket. And so I just want to show you. I don't know if any of you have this. I don't have one of these, but these are stamps that you kind of roll over because, we still get a lot of things in the mail. And it's like, I don't want my address by throwing it out. So there's going to be 5 of these. So at the conclusion of our program, we will go ahead and do the raffle. So if you did not get a ticket, please raise your hand and one of our volunteers you did not get a ticket over there. Okay, we'll make sure that you get one. All right. What you have is like, how you get mail and it has your name and your address and all that information, or the inside of it because they want to, make you sign up for a credit card and it has your name and address. So you don't want to throw that's personal information. So you can actually use this, roll it right over, and then you can discard of it if you don't have a shredder. And we'll talk about shredding in a little bit. And after the presentation, we invite you to visit both the AARP resource table right over here. There's some important information, phone numbers, resource numbers, to learn more about preventing scams, as well as our partner resource. We're proud to partner with incredible organization, Rachel Leonard. Is that the way you say it? Leonard, okay. From the County of San Diego is with us today, ready to share information at their partner resource table. So please visit that as well. And Rachel, could you just tell us a little bit about where you're from, what department, and your function?
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel. I'm with the County of San Diego Aging and Independence Service. I'm actually with our health promotion, where I oversee our dementia and brain health programs and initiatives. But today I'm here to share about all of our different resources at the county, with the emphasis more on our scam and fraud prevention and resources, elder abuse. And so if you're unfamiliar with Aging and Independence Services, we have a plethora of different programs and services for older adults, persons living with disabilities that range, kind of on a spectrum, for those that are Still independent, maybe looking for volunteer opportunities, physical activity, staying engaged in the community to maybe meal support, congregate sites, home delivered meals, and then, maybe support in the home, like having a caregiver or with our in-home support services, case management, and then to maybe those that need maybe a lot of support or you're concerned about with our adult protective services. So lots of different programs, so come and see me and I can kind of give you a more in-depth spiel of what we have. And if you're looking anything for yourself or a friend or a family member, I'd be happy to help you. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Rachel. All right, so now it's come time for the presentation. I'd like to introduce again today's speaker, Tiffany Zhang. She is the Community Outreach Engagement Manager for AARP San Diego Info Center. So Tiffany, take it away.
Yeah, round of applause to our amazing volunteers. Thank you so much, Diana, for the kind introduction. We are so delighted to be here with you all to kick off the first presentation of our San Diego ScamJam. So this is a countywide effort that we're doing. You're going to see presentations across the county, shred events, as well as tech workshops. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that throughout the presentation, but just delighted to be here with you all. So we're going to talk about a really important topic that you might be hearing, you might be experiencing every day, frauds and scams. So we're going to help equip you, give you tools, help you identify tactics, and hopefully come away feeling more empowered to I know what to do in case of a scam or fraud coming my way. So let me make sure that this is all good to go. So just wanted to highlight again that this is part of the San Diego ScamJam Tour. Our focus is on helping older adults and community members with the knowledge and tools to protect yourself. So we are doing cybersecurity classes with Senior Tech Connect. They're a great resource, and they're going to be in the city of La Mesa. So they'll teach you how to do a password manager. They'll also teach you how to identify AI scams, government scams, things like that. And then they will also talk about how do you check if it's a legit email, a legit phone call, etc. So on our table, we have a flyer. They'll be starting in June, and it'll be on Tuesday and a Thursday at the City of La Mesa, their Adult Enrichment Center. So check those out. Those are free. We also have a shred event. We really encourage you all to shred your personal documents. It's just a good practice to have. I know it can be expensive to get it shredded at a FedEx or Kinko's or have your own shredder. So please, May 31st, City Heights, Park de la Cruz. I want to fill the whole truck, so if you can bring your documents. We'll say 3 boxes, but we did it yesterday in San Marcos. Someone brought 10 boxes. We did not turn her away, so please feel free to bring your boxes. Just don't bring any binder clips or anything that'll break our shredder, if that's okay. That'll be at Park de la Cruz Community Center, which is off the 805 and University Avenue. The flyer is also at our table, so on your way out, please grab that. But today is the meat of the whole ScamJam, the education piece. So thank you all for being part of that. Before we get started, just wanted to put some ground rules. We want to share the floor so everyone gets the opportunity to talk. If you have a question, please save it for the end. If you're unclear during, just flag me. We can definitely have a conversation. Sandra has a mic in the back for your questions. Additionally, this is a judgment-free zone. So if someone shares a story, maybe an experience they had, we just want to hold space for them to be able to share that. And then if you don't mind silencing your cell phones, we are recording this so you can watch it later. So we don't want to have too much background noises happening. All right, let's get started. So my goal today is to share valuable information that will help you recognize and avoid fraud. So we've had training from the AARP Fraud Watch Network through different experts. We've been partnering with the County of San Diego on their fraud prevention work, as well as the Elder Justice Task Force locally. So a lot of the information is coming from real-time data here locally. But I am not law enforcement. I am not an expert per se, so we'll do your best to connect you to the right resource. But if you're going to ask me to go do an FBI raid, I will not be able to do that for you. But today, to help you and your loved ones, we're going to look at fraud trends. What's the current landscape? We'll talk about changing the narrative. How do we flip the way we talk about scams and frauds? We'll talk about the top scams, prevention tactics, and knowing and avoiding those. And then resources. How do you access and share up-to-date tools for you and resources on fraud identification and prevention, and where to go if you maybe have already experienced a fraud or a scam. So some of you might be going, wait, why is AARP involved in this? What's going on? So we're not a health insurance company. That's a common misconception. We're actually a nonprofit. We do outreach, education, and advocacy. And our organization actually started because Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus, who was the first female high school principal in LA, actually found one of her retired educators living in a chicken coop because she didn't have retirement savings and have access to health insurance, etc. And she's like, this is not okay. How can someone who's given their life to teaching others not even have these basic kind of needs in her retirement years? And she was appalled at the lack of financial security. So what we've learned is a lot of people, their hard-earned money, their savings have been stolen from scammers and fraud. So we started the whole Fraud Watch network to help people keep their financial security. So let's talk about some of the data and the scope of fraud happening today, and then we'll get into the top scams happening here in San Diego. So, oh, wrong button, right button. Okay, back to the top scams here in San Diego. So scammers are unfortunately stealing billions of dollars. Yes, I said billions, not millions. That's just the scope across the nation, and it's every year. And the impact on victims and families is really financially and emotionally devastating. Either people are embarrassed to maybe talk about it, or they're like, "How could I fall for it?" Or other people make them feel bad about it, and that's just really difficult. And that's some of the things we want to change in today's conversation. So we created the Fraud Watch Network to help empower people to spot and avoid scams and to have provide support and guidance for victims and their families when fraud does happen. So please, when you can, check out the AARP Fraud Watch Network. We have scam alerts, so it'll tell you, like it'll text you or email you what's the top scam this week or this month. There's also the scam tracker map, which I love to highlight. You can put the zip code here and it'll tell you what reported scams happened in your area. And that has helped me be a gut check. When I got a document, my mom got a document in the mail saying you're required to appear in court, etc. And I was like, that's my mom. There's no way, right? And I looked it up, her zip code, and 10 other people in her area had reported a similar letter. And so I felt safe to shred that and just disregard it. So it's a free national resource. Please check it out. And then we have, again, more of the resources on our table if you'd like to check that out. So if I could get a show of hands, how many of you think you've been approached with a fraudulent offer? Oh, yeah, almost everybody. Okay. How many of you know someone who has been a victim of identity theft or fraud? Yeah, it's unfortunate to see that many hands are raised, but it's the reality that we're facing today, that a lot of people are experiencing this. And so I'd love to hear some answers from the group. Why do you think fraudsters like to target older adults? Nervous, vulnerable. Okay. Any other thoughts from the group?
Probably seem to have more money than others.
True.
Trusting.
Interesting. Definitely.
Not technologically sophisticated.
Okay, didn't have grow up with all the gadgets we have today. Yeah. I think you all read my notes because you got all the answers correct. It's often people think they're an easy target, because they have financial savings, right? You've been saving over the years. You are more trusting because generationally you were taught to be more trusting. You had friendly neighbors. It was just built into society. And maybe weren't as aware of all the technology that's now being introduced at such a rapid rate. And scammers also like to exploit social isolation, possibly cognitive decline as well, and use high pressure tactics like fake emergencies to force quick decisions. And you'll hear throughout this whole presentation, we'll talk about pausing and verifying before you make any decisions. And then unfortunately, a lot of people, as we talked about, may feel embarrassed to talk about it, which makes it kind of feel like an even larger problem than it is, or a scarier thing than it is. So education awareness, like today, what we're doing, thank you for showing up, is key to fighting against fraudsters and protecting your loved ones. And so fraud is on the rise. You'll see on the slide here. This is information from the FBI. They have the Internet Crime Complaint Center, which is called the IC3. And so in 2023 alone, it was $12.5 billion loss in cybercrime, and 3.5 billion of that was attributed to elder fraud. And so the average loss for a person who's over 60 that's reported is $34,000. And that's the average loss. So some people are losing 100, 200K. Some people recently in San Diego was 1.1 million. It's crazy to even wrap your head around that kind of number at that scale. And what's interesting to note is that as there are more older adults, just with the demographic shifts, this issue will continue to escalate dramatically. And this is the number reported because not everyone's reporting. So it's likely a higher number than what we see here. And locally, we are super grateful. We have the San Diego Elder Justice Task Force, which sort of led the way on a coordinated effort against frauds and scams. They're made up of your FBI, your local law enforcement, the district attorney's office, the U.S. attorney's office, as well as adult protective services and other groups. And they meet every week to track through these reports and see how they can work together to actually take someone down or follow up and get someone's money back or just try to figure out what's going on and what are some of those patterns so that they can take down these criminals. So what's cool is before it was sort of like your money's lost, it's gone, what do you do? Now it's like these group is actually trying to work to make this happen, which I think gives me a little bit hope that they're tackling this issue head on. In 2024, they were able to track $100 million in elder fraud lost here in San Diego County. The good news is that it was $100 million in 2023, so at least the number didn't go up, but it's still $100 million. My goal, and this is sort of my hope for this whole San Diego ScamJam, is that next year it'll be $95 million and 90. It'll go down because we're building a fraud smart San Diego here. One thing that the San Diego Elder Justice Task Force, their lead, told me I had to make sure to tell you all. So they started Operation Counterstrike, and they're really proud to say they've recovered $7 million from that work, from coordinating efforts across law enforcement. And 2.4 million of that is stopping the bank-to-bank coordination, like before the money gets gone from like a credit card type thing, and $4.4 million via federal seizure warrants. So they're doing the work. It's a drop in the bucket, but it's still progress. So that's what's happening in the larger landscape here in this area. And next we'll go over the top scams. And these are from the AARP Fraud Watch Network, as well as the San Diego reports that are going through the Elder Justice Task Force. So some of the top scams. Before we go into that, I do want to address, while there are countless types of scams reported daily, we're going to talk about what that tactic is that underlies all of them. And so the overall goal in most scam operations is to get your target into a heightened emotional state. So this is where scammers themselves have referred to as getting someone under the ether, and that's instilling fear, or it's using excitement or even love as a way to get someone to kind of throw out their logical thinking, and the scammer is sort of in control. And so they use your own thought processes against you and your emotions, and they're really good at kind of manipulating that. We have some videos online if you want to check out at a later date where scammers talk about how they're able to sort of pull out what keywords to push your buttons to get you into this emotional state. So again, as we talk through the top scams, think about pausing and verifying. If you know yourself, do you know yourself when you're angry? What does that feel like? Do you know what it's like when you're excited? What is that like? If you can identify those emotions, you might be able to better understand, oh, am I kind of in this ether state in the situation? So I added this because I thought this was really interesting. This is actually a text I got this morning at 7:55 a.m. And so this is going to tie into what we're talking about, the imposter scams. But what I wanted to highlight is this is the toll road text scam right now. And they're getting better at making it look legit. But what I wanted to highlight, we just talked about getting me under the ether. So funny enough, I drove to LA last week. So I was like, oh, did I cross a toll road? Right? Like you think, right? And it literally says, so they're going to use time pressure. It'll be implemented on May 16th, right? Right. If you don't complete the payment for May 10th, oh, it's already past May 10th. Well, anyways, the DMV will suspend your vehicle registration, right? I might be sued. Your credit score will be affected. They're throwing everything they can at me. I'll be an unlicensed driver. I'll have legal risks and credit loss. And then here's the piece, too. The URL actually does say cadmv in it, .gov. And normally we tell people look for your .gov to make sure it's legit. But they masked the .gov with another URL after it. Yeah. So this is just what I wanted to share. I get these texts I think once a day, but it was just funny that it was this morning. And this was the best one I've seen so far. So I thought, okay, you're worthy enough to make it to my presentation. But the main part, it's all that pressure. I'm gonna get sued. I'm gonna lose my license, etc. It'd be easy to go, let me just check this out because I did pass a toll road on my way to LA. Maybe this is what is.
But that's not sponsored by the DMV.
Right,
That's
and
the toll road company.
exactly. So, but my logical thinking went out the door, and I didn't think they're not the same entity. The other thing I didn't think about is what's this phone number? So I actually looked up that country code. It's the Philippines, so that's another thing. So those are the steps we want you to take, pause, and verify. Because it's easy to go, oh, I just need to click this link. Let me figure out what it is. Versus like checking, oh, the DMV will never text me.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect example of imposter scams. These are the things you're gonna get every day when people are posing as someone else or something else to convince you to send them money. Government and business imposter scams are the most common. So we just shared about the toll road scam. The other thing I want to touch on because they use timely events. So Social Security right now, there's a lot of confusion. The locations are closing. How do I get customer service? There was a time when they said everyone had to go in. So scammers try to take advantage of timely moments, be like, hey, we'll help you out, but if you pay us this fee, we'll get you front of the line. So it feels too good to be true, probably is, but just be aware they try to take advantage of current events. And right now, we have a lot of current events, so it can feel like you're getting a lot of this. So again, most of the time with government and business scams, there's gonna be that threat. You owe something, you need to pay this, you'll get an arrest, you'll lose your electricity, etc. All if you don't act now. So time pressure is the key tactic there. And the thing you can trust in is most of the time the government and businesses, they're not gonna contact you, nor are they gonna call you. They don't even have capacity to do their normal day jobs. They're not calling people to do this. So the trick is verify directly back to the source. So if you can look up, for example, UPS saying your delivery isn't going to be able to be delivered unless you pay a $7.99 shipping fee, go back to the source, check your tracking ID. Did you even order something? So go back to the source and check. Don't just call back the number that calls you. And as much as you can, do not share sensitive personal information and don't make payments in any form. Just stop it before you even get to any point. Anyone here like to still talk to the scammer when they call you? There's always one.
I've met 3 grandsons,
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
one on the phone for 25 minutes.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about the classic grandparent scam, but what I want to touch on is if you can, don't even answer, because you're basically telling them that you have a live line that they can keep calling. So as soon as you answer, they're gonna keep calling that. But if you want entertainment and you know yourself, like
Blocker,
nice, okay.
where you, first one only had like 2,500 numbers, and then we put in another 2,500. This one has 150,000 pre-programmed numbers, and I think we're close to 3,000 now.
But yeah, that's great. So now, thankfully, your phone, some of them will say scam likely or potential spam, so just don't answer. My rule of thumb, if you don't know the number and they really want to reach you, they'll leave a voicemail. So just don't worry about it. So next I want to talk is impersonation schemes. Sweepstakes and lottery scams are really popular because who doesn't want to go on the dream vacation or win thousands of dollars? And they'll try to take advantage of our eagerness. They'll send you a letter, an email, or call, or even social media is common. They'll say, you won this grand prize place you've always wanted, but the catch is you have to pay a fee, you have to pay the taxes for that area or your customs duty in order to claim your prize. And they'll probably ask you to pay on like a link or give them a gift card because you can't track a gift card. So that's your red flag. Never pay a fee to collect a prize. Also, if you don't remember entering that lottery or sweepstakes, what are the odds that you won it? On the flip side, AARP, we are legit. We are hosting our own sweepstakes as an educational. I'm not joking. So we are hosting one. We're hosting a legitimate sweepstakes so you can see what a legitimate sweepstakes looks like. So any legitimate sweepstakes has to post the rules and it'll list date, time, who's administering it, when the winners will be announced. So we wanted to do one to show you all. We're giving away an Apple iPad as the prize, but it's just a learning experience too. So feel free if you want to actually win an iPad, possibly enter our sweepstakes. Okay, so let's get into the real thing I wanted to address here. The top number one scam here in San Diego, and there's over 1,000 reported victims in San Diego County due to the technology scam. That's from the Elder Justice Task Force. So What you'll see is a pop-up on your screen similar to this one, and it'll provide a number for tech support to fix some kind of fabricated issue or virus on your computer. It'll often have some kind of timer countdown saying your computer will be shut down or lost in 2 minutes, and it'll start counting down. And you might respond in a panic, call that number to prevent your time-sensitive flashing pop-up from taking over your computer. And then it leads to a bank scam or an impersonation scam. There's someone on the other line pretending to be tech support, and the typical line will be, your bank accounts have been compromised in this attack. We need to move your money to keep it safe.
Oh,
It's legit. This is happening. Like the 1,000 people, I guarantee they're not just people who've never used a computer before. It's the time pressure. It's that under the ether you lose your logic, and then people are pulling out their money because their computer may already be something new that they're learning or not comfortable with, and they'll take advantage of that. So what's interesting that I wanted to highlight is they're asking people to pull out their money, and it's often a cash drop off. They'll tell you to meet one of their associates or their people. Or now they're starting to make it payment in gold bars. It's a high occurrence because gold bars doesn't get flagged when you buy gold bars because people buy gold bars regular practice. Banks, if you pull out a certain amount of money, they have procedures in place to check if that's legitimate or not, or to ask you to verify. So this is happening. This is really, and the technology thing is.
or they don't. Sometimes.
Oh, the bank doesn't flag it? Yeah. There's sometimes if they're on the phone and they're coaching people, if they're kind of have you under that emotional state, they'll tell you the exact wording to tell the bank person so that you can bypass the kind of security measures. But what we want to note, two things when you see this, pause and verify. For here, you can see, is this a legitimate place? Where did this come from? Like, what's the URL? Is it even Microsoft? Anyways, Microsoft doesn't do this, so we want you to close it. So the trick is just close the computer is the safest option. Don't even click the pop-up. Sometimes we tell people to click the X, but now they hide the X or you maybe click the wrong thing. So we just tell people to close your computer. Your stuff will auto-save. You'll get it back. I'd rather you just not even go with it. The other thing too, if you're a little bit more comfortable, you can Control-Alt-Delete, which is your task manager on your computer, and then you can close out. It'll say the pop-up, you can close it out. But our safest bet, just close your computer, restart it, and do it again. Yeah, shut it down.
Sleep.
Yeah, sorry. First, I tell people to close it so they just don't even read it and get all caught up in the emotion, and then yeah, shut it down, restart it, and then go from there. The next one is the pig butchering scams. It's happening locally and it's right. I know it's a very unsettling term, but it's basically scammers are trying to take their time to fatten up their victims and take as much money as they can. And some red flags to look out for in this scam is accidental or mistaken contact, but the person wants to keep talking to you and building a relationship. It'll start with a random text, social media message, or even a connection on a dating app. So an example that I literally saw yesterday is someone randomly got a message with a picture of a cute puppy and it was like, hey, when are you gonna come check out my puppies? I really need a vet right away. You said you were gonna meet me kind of thing. And that person's like, I'm not a vet, like, but they, they use the cute puppies. So like, I hope your puppies are okay. And then they go, oh man, I'm so sorry, wrong number. But aren't my puppies cute? And then they start talking about that. So they build basic relationship and then later it'll escalate to something like, hey, I actually made a lot of money doing this, or some kind of investment opportunity that will feel too good to pass up. Cryptocurrency, gold market, etc. And they'll actually do this. The first few investments, they'll actually give you money. So you build confidence. You think this is legit. It's my friend teaching me how to make more money. It's tough times, etc. So they'll even allow you to like withdraw money sometimes. So people have said, wait, I got $1,000. This must be legit. So once you kind of get that hook in, then they'll say, okay, put in your 50K now. You'll get the 250K. And people, because they already pulled money out, it felt legitimate. The website looked legitimate. They'll do it. So that's sort of like they'll kind of build that relationship, fatten up the pig, and then they'll take the kill. And many of these scams are originating from overseas, so it's really hard to recover the money as soon as it's left kind of your account. So please, any investment that's too good to be true, do your research, right? Is it legitimate or not? And then again, too good to be true, probably is. Okay, another one I really wanted to highlight is the grandparent scam. You all probably have heard of This one, it's common. My friend here has already gotten 3 grandkids, new grandkids. They'll use the fear and urgency, right, to trick grandparents into sending money. And, typically, Grandma, please, it's me. I'm in trouble. I need your help. Please don't tell Mom. She's going to kill me. I need your help type of thing, right? Yeah. Urgent demand for money, unusual way, keep the situation secret. And then what's interesting is scammers will send a driver through rideshare to come pick up the money sometimes. That's been reported. And what's hard is those Lyft Uber drivers, for example, they have no idea they're a part of a scam. So there was a story in another state where that Uber Lyft driver, when the person realized they were being scammed, they actually I think shot the driver because they just, and so that's just the confusion and all this that's happening. But the main thing I want to touch, because I think a lot of people know the tactic of that they're gonna use pretend you have a grandkid type of thing, is having a family passcode that only you all know. So if someone's pretending to be if you do have a grandkid, you can say, "Oh, can we use our family passcode? Let's verify." That'll help you know because there's no way some kind of scammer will know that code. Yes.
I just wanted to say, I knew of someone's grandchild did do this. They, scammed their grandparents.
Oh.
So that was weird.
That's and I wonder if that goes into adult protective services territory because that's technically elder abuse, especially when it's family to family, and that's really unfortunate. Oh, and so that's good that they were able to catch, but that's terrible that that's happening, and I'm sure.
That never occurred to me if I hadn't heard that.
Right. So having passcode, also knowing who those relationships is helpful. The main point I wanted to touch on that's new is with artificial intelligence, AI, voice cloning technology is very real. So it actually may even sound like your grandkid. And so it's not as easy to identify if it's fake or not. So just again, having that family passcode is helpful, and not answering the phone, because when you answer the phone, they can record your voice and try to use that against you. So let's say my family passcode's pineapple, and my grandparents are getting a call and someone's pretending to be me. They can ask, "Hey, what's the family passcode?" And if the person can't produce the word, then that can give another gut check to be like, "Let me hang up. This isn't someone I actually know." Something we'll talk about in the tech classes is now the phone number will also look like your actual grandkid's phone number. So it might even show up as your grandkid's name because you can spoof phone numbers nowadays. So don't call back. Call back their actual number. Don't call back the number that's called you, if that makes sense. You'll have to go back, find the numerical phone number if you want to verify with the grandkid.
You know what I've done? I said, hold on a minute, I'm gonna get my checkbook. And then, of course I lied. And I don't know how long they would listen, waiting for me.
Oh, you just leave your phone? No, I love that. Okay, great.
Off the line to get somebody else.
Perfect. So what's really what I like about yours is you're creating space for you to verify, get out of the situation. Because the longer you talk to them and you're in that, the more they'll try to manipulate you. So if you just separate, hang up if you want, or if you want to mess with them, you can leave the phone.
Keep them on the line. But just so other people, they can't be calling other people.
Oh, you're doing your public service to keep them from calling. Yeah, if as long as the tactic is working for you and you know when to say no and just not engage. Appreciate you sharing that. Okay, next thing we'd love to cover, just online romance scams. I know this is when most people give me that funny look, but it happens, and it's common to want to have connections online. We encourage people to have friends, people they can count on, your 2 a.m. friends, etc. And a lot of people have turned online to find those interests, but just be wary that there are strangers online. Even if you're not exploring a romantic interest, scammers can be taking advantage of that. So some red flags is they won't show you their face, or they'll use the same picture over and over again. They won't stay in the app. They'll try to move you to WhatsApp or something like that. That's kind of has less security. And there's this thing called love bombing. They'll profess their love for you very early on. It feels nice. They tell you how pretty or how great you are and how smart you are, etc. But they will make excuses to never meet you in person, type of thing. And then at some point, I'll be like, oh, I really wanted to meet you, but I don't have money for my plane ticket. Can you send me X amount? I want to come see you, type of thing. So just be wary of how people are taking advantage of these sites. Do you want to say that louder for the group? Can I say that louder for the group? She said if they don't have money, I'm not interested in. That's a good half standards. There you go. I just want to touch on identity theft and identity fraud. So identity theft is when someone steals your personal information, social security number, address, birthday, bank account. Medicare number should be protected just like your social security number. So don't just give that out to anyone, unless you're in like your healthcare setting or a private situation. And fraud is when they use this information for illicit purposes. So just want to note some resources for you to help protect against this. So you can freeze your credit, annualcreditreport.com. You can freeze your credit with all three agencies. Set a unique password. Our password class will teach you how to set unique passwords because they always want you to have a different one for each one and actually remember them because that's half the challenge.
Somebody's phone keeps trying to connect to the TV, so if anybody's got a Galaxy phone like that,
It's a scam.
or it could be.
No, I have an Apple. Okay, and then it seems counterintuitive, but set up electronic access to your bank accounts because that way they can send you alerts if you've spent over a certain amount of money. Also, add the two-factor authentication because most online access you have to put in your username and password, and then after it'll text you a code or call you with a code, and then you have to put it in. It's tedious, but it is a good extra step to make sure that someone else isn't accessing your account. And then install those updates. So it's in Microsoft, Apple, all these companies' best interest that you're not getting scammed on your computer. So when they give you those security updates that are actually from Microsoft, actually from Apple, please install them. And then identitytheft.gov is a great resource for reporting fraud and then creating a plan for your identity theft recovery if that has happened. With scams and fraud, the most common forms of payment, it tends to be credit and debit cards. We encourage credit usage if you can because it gives a little bit more time for the bank to maybe intervene or stop the charge from going through. Debit, once it's out, it's sort of out. Payment apps, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle have little to no consumer protection, so just be careful. Cryptocurrency has grown dramatically, and what's hard is you can't really track cryptocurrency once it's out. And then gift cards are another important one to note because a lot of times it was pay us in gift cards, give us money because you can't track it after it's gone. Thankfully, what's really cool about legislation, now there's a law you can't buy more than $500 in gift cards, and that has deterred scammers from using that as a tactic, which is great on one end, but they've used a different tactic, which we'll talk about next, to try to get people to pay that's untraceable. Which is the cash pickups that we talked about, and then payment and gold bars. So in general, someone asks you to pay with a gift card, it's a red flag. The payment in gold bars is the new thing that I just wanted to talk about. In-person pickups are an increasing tactic that scammers are using. So gold bars, like we talked about, is there's less red flags and less roadblocks to buying gold bars because it's like a normal thing that people do. And most gold dealers, like even Costco sells gold bars. Versus again, when you go to your bank and you try to take out $50K, they're gonna flag you on that. So on the tech scam that we talked about, they'll probably ask you to pay in gold bars or do a cash pickup. And the safest, because your accounts have been compromised, and they'll say the safest way to protect your money is to liquidate your accounts and purchase gold because gold is stable, there's this and that. They'll even send a courier to your home sometimes to pick up the gold under the false promise that will be safeguarded. And what's hard is sometimes courier feels very official, and someone at your door makes this scam feel even more legit. And the tough part is once they get that, it's gone. They're not safekeeping it, right? So red flag, no bank or government agency will ask you to pull out your money and buy gold. If someone pressures you like that, that's your red flag. It's a scam. Please hang up if that happens or if someone reports suspicious activity to authorities. And then this is where the FBI and the Elder Task Force are working to take down these folks. So they were able to intervene at a San Marcos jewelry store before the person picked up the gold and was able to take down one of the couriers. So we just asked, report this as soon as possible because they're actively working on cases like this. These whole scams rely on secrecy. That's the whole thing. They don't want you to talk to anyone. They don't want you to ask your friends if this is legit. And they're gonna keep you on the line. They'll say something classic like, "We have your phone lines tapped. You're under investigation," etc. Because they don't want you contacting other people, and you feel very isolated in that experience. So pause and verify. It's going to be gold bar ask or even large cash pickups. So just be mindful before acting. Last thing I want to talk about crypto ATMs. You might have seen these in a gas station or in random places. This is a huge, important win for advocacy and legislation to help with the fight against fraudsters. So crypto ATMs, after gift cards got X off the $500 max, crypto ATMs was the next thing because you could do a lot of money at one time, and once it's in the system, it's gone and you can't really trace it. They're fast, irreversible, and they're unregulated. But this is the good news. California state legislation, Senate Bill 401, it was put into effect January 2024. They capped the amount of money you can put into crypto ATM per day per customer to $1,000. Which you're probably like, whoa, what? That's still a lot of money. But if you were being pressured to give $30K and you have to go to 30 different crypto ATMs to do it, it adds more intervention time for law enforcement, FBI to get involved, and for you to go, wait a second, this doesn't feel right. Why is it so hard for me to give my money if they're keeping it safe?
I never known what Bitcoin or all that stuff is.
It's basically a currency that people made. Like they just made their own currency essentially on their
Credit card in?
yeah, and then you transfer your bank into their currency essentially.
Wow.
So you're like buying their currency, and then but it's a web-based currency.
So is it ever legit?
There are some people like who are very much into cryptocurrency, but most people are not using it for legit purposes. That's why you'll find them in very weird places because they're paying a rental fee to like put it in the 7-Eleven. But I just want to highlight that's why legislation is really important because people were putting 30, 40, 50K, but because it capped at 1,000, they saw the reports go down significantly, and that's what we need more time for intervention. All right, so we have about like 15 minutes to wrap up here, and I wanted to do a little bit of practice and then give you the key resources that we have. So let's pause on that. I don't think we have enough time. But thank you. Normally we hand out red flags and we have people raise their hand, but for the sake of time, we'll just go through a few scenarios. Because the key part about practicing is that when you know about a scam, it helps defend against it. Research has actually shown that if you know about a specific scam, you're 80% less likely to engage in it. But if you do engage, you're 40% less likely to actually become a victim because then you recognize what it is. So we'll talk about some common persuasion tactics. If you don't mind, like raising your hand when you see the common persuasion tactic, and then we can call out what's wrong in these scenarios. Do you want to read this out for the group?
Sure. You receive a phone call from someone claiming they are from SDG&E. And the caller states that there is an urgent issue with your account because of the recent flooding and the need to verify personal information to avoid immediate disconnection of service.
All right, what's the red flags?
Immediate.
Time pressure?
Urgent.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and
SDG&E.
you said that because you were talking about the threat of losing your electricity, right? Because they're our only electricity provider, and that's a whole other conversation. Yeah, so the immediacy, the loss of your electricity, and then the push for your personal information. Because if they're calling you as SDG&E, they will already know your address, where you're at, etc. All right, next one. Do you want to read this one out loud?
Sure. You were approached by a friend at a community event who pitches an exclusive investment opportunity in a new startup claiming to guarantee high returns in just a few months. The friend urges you to invest quickly, shows you how their portfolio has doubled, and even shows they have withdrawn some cash and mentions that only a limited number of spots are available.
All right, I'm here. What are some of the key tactics here that you're seeing?
The whole thing.
The whole thing is not actually your friend. Yes. Okay. Some people are very charismatic. They have a way about themselves that they can make you think that it's legit, especially if they're flashy with it, they give you money or they buy the nice thing. So again, too good to be true, time pressure, limited amount, pause and verify. All right, I think you all got it. The last one is about the whole tech scam, but I feel like we've really covered that, so I'm going to skip to the how we react to fraud. So one thing we really want to push is reframing how we react and discuss fraud. So one thing that we talked about, scams are often underreported because people feel like embarrassed, shameful, etc. I can't believe I fell for this, or how could I be so stupid is what we often hear. And so what's interesting is when it's like someone at being a victim of an actual crime, we don't blame the victim. So how come in a financial crime we blame the victims that it's their fault? So we really want to change the narrative on this instead of saying, how could you fall for that? This isn't your fault. You experienced a crime. So kind of changing that, because what helps when you change the narrative around how we talk about fraud, it helps tackle this illusion of invincibility. Because a lot of people, when you blame the victim, you think, I'll never do that. I am definitely not like that person. And you ignore that this is a legit crime. These people, this is they're making a living off of it, right? If they're doing well, they're good at this. So we don't want you to think it'll never happen to you, and also make that for the person who may have happened to them feel like they can't even talk about it. So we don't want people to feel like they should have known better. They let their guard down. They weren't XX enough. So just tackle that. Change the way that we talk about frauds and scams. This is where our great friends at Adult Protective Services are trying to tackle this issue. We just wanted to highlight that if someone is 60 or older or dependent adult is a victim to a scam or financial exploitation, or you mentioned even their own family member, it's considered elder abuse. And so recognizing these signs is crucial. So these are the most common signs of financial abuse on the page. This is where Adult Protective Services can help with recovery and case management, which is really helpful to have someone be able to kind of do that investigation and follow up to prevent further loss, but then also help people maybe get connected to other resources that they need. Reports are confidential and they can be made anonymously, and there's no shame in seeking help, like we've been talking about. So please talk to Rachel at the end of the presentation if you have questions about this, or maybe you're concerned about a friend. She'll help connect you to the right resources. And if you can save the phone number, just good to have. It's a classic. If you see something, say something. Your report could make the difference for somebody. On the larger scale, please report in general to law enforcement and to the Internet Crime Complaint Center, because it all gets put into this kind of central system, and they actually aggregate this data to be able to help with like any cases, to help put together patterns and then tackle some of these fraudsters. So it's a classic. We don't know what we don't know, so we need you to report it so that we can help prevent this happening to other people. So local law enforcement, they'll typically tell you to file a report. The IC3 is really helpful because that's the larger kind of central system that gets filtered in, and then they're able to flag kind of recurring patterns or repeat tactics. APS for elder abuse, we talked about. If it happens with your credit card, tell your financial institution as soon as possible so they can actually do something about it. And they're sort of your first line of defense if your credit card or debit card is involved. We have the AARP Fraud Watch helpline. They're a great resource. They're trained volunteers, and if you're intimidated to call law enforcement, AARP volunteers will help talk you through how do you file a report. They'll help you file the report there with you, and then they'll help you talk through the situation. And they're available Monday through Friday. And then if you like to, I see a lot of people post on social media Nextdoor. I'm always cautious with Nextdoor. You all know that it's like your community hub. Lots of good information, but sometimes really overwhelming. And some people just think the world's burning and everything's falling apart. And so just be wary of what you read on some of these social media sites. But if you like to, you can share, hey, this is a common thing that I saw, or can you believe what someone tried to scam me with? Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things today, and we've talked about why we need to change the way we talk about fraud. Just want to talk about some last prevention strategies that you all should consider. Again, if you heard from this, the main thing I'd love for you to take away: pause and verify. Don't make that decision in a heightened emotional state. Do your research if you can. You can check Charity Navigator if it's legit. Brokers, you can check if they're legitimate, as well as contractors. This is the California website. Check if they're legit with a license. etc. Because don't have time to go and do it here, but sometimes contractors can be scammers and they'll put you into keep trying to get you money for work that's never getting done. Again, any unexpected contact, be wary of it. If someone's pressuring you, it's helpful to have a response ready because it can help you kind of give time to verify and avoid. I like that you already have a script that you like to use. Hey, I'm grabbing my checkbook, and then you never answer. Here's some other things that we've used. Thanks for reaching out. I need to think about this some more. I'm not comfortable sharing my information right now. Or can you send me some official information? Find the script that you will be able to just think of right away so you can have the words because you don't want to get stuck going, what do I say, what do I do, kind of a thing.
Sometimes I say in the middle of their sentence, I'm hanging up now.
That's a great one. I should add that to the list, actually. Or some people say, take me off the list and then hang up. There is the do not call registry, which is you can put your phone number and legally they're not supposed to call you, telemarketers, if you put your phone number on the do not call registry. But as we talked about, all the people calling you are most likely not legally following the process. But that's one thing that we encourage if you do want, if you're getting a lot of telemarketer calls, you can take yourself. But scammers try to rely on confusion, so having your refusal script can be helpful. Protect your personal information is really key. Don't share your personal information unless it's someone you know and trust. And then shred your sensitive information. Or as Diana was sharing earlier, cross off. Because you know how many credit card statements you get, or not credit, open up a new credit card mail you get? Let's say someone else finds that, they can just follow that link, and if they have enough information, they can pull out a card in your name. So we just tell people to shred it, cut off your name, or scratch off your name. And then just have a check on your financial statements. I have one. If I spend more than $200, I'll get a text, and it's helpful because it'll tell me what location. If it's outside of San Diego County, it'll also text me. So you can set those e-alerts on your credit card so that you can see if there's fraudulent activity and stop it as soon as it happens. And then you can always put fraud alerts on your credit reports or put a freeze if you'd like. So the three that you do that with is TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax.
What's a fraud alert? How do you do that?
Let me just make sure. I think they'll let you know if someone tries to pull out a credit card under your name. It'll like flag it and they'll let you know. Yeah, the agency will communicate with you if someone tries to pull out something in your name.
That one, you're letting the credit card company know that fraud has been committed already in your name, so they need to keep a lookout for any charges or attempts to open.
Cool.
But if you freeze your accounts, you freeze all your credit cards, no one can take out an account in your name, not even you.
Right, so you have to unfreeze it. Yeah.
To get a credit report pulled, you're gonna buy a car.
Right.
Unfreeze your account before you go to the dealer.
Thank you for clarifying. I was thinking about owner alert. There's a different scam that's going on in San Diego County where people can transfer a title, because you can just file the documents and transfer title to someone else's name. So San Diego County Assessor has a owner alert program where it'll alert you if someone tries to switch the title to someone else's name.
The other piece of that is if a credit card company or any financial institution does a soft credit pull against you, the reporting agency will alert them that there's a fraud alert, and they'll be less likely Don or somebody else trying to steal your identity.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. I'll update my notes. That's the phone number if you want to have that fraud alert, and then the website.
All of the phone numbers and websites, we can share those in the thank you email that will go out in a couple days. That way, if you miss something, if you need it, it'll be in there.
Cool. Thank you. That's perfect.
Need this PowerPoint so I can make sure I pull
Okay. Lastly, just make sure your tech is up to date like we talked about. Protect your passwords. Please don't use the same password for everything because if someone gets one, they have access to a lot of other things. And then consider a password manager. Go to the class in La Mesa on, I think it's June 12th. They'll teach you how to use a password manager. And then again, please report. These are the different financial for your bank, freezing credit like we talked about, or canceling a card or a transaction. Please report APS for local and state, and then federal is the Federal Trade Commission and the IC3, the FBI's crime center. But we just ask you to please report it because the more we know, the better work that they can do trying to stop these scammers. AARP website, like we talked about, we have the AARP helpline. You can scan the QR code to save it, or we have business cards on our table that has the helpline there ready for you. And then we do have support groups if you have been a victim of fraud, because the hard truth is most cases do not result in a recovery of money. I just gotta tell you straight, because sometimes people are like, oh, they're gonna get me my money back. It's really hard to do that once it's gone. So we want to be realistic. This is a traumatic experience for people, and they also have to deal with, what do I do now if I did lose my retirement savings, etc. And there's a lot of stress, anxiety, and distress from that. So we do have support groups online to help with that. They're, I think, weekly, and you can just join there. And then our friends at the county are also starting an in-person support group if that's something that you're interested in, or you know someone who would benefit from an in-person support group. And they're all free. Yeah. All right. Last but not least, we hope you've learned some good information today about the different kinds of top scams happening here in San Diego County, the ways you can protect yourself, pause and verify, what are some of those tactics, and then all the available resources, and to please change the kind of narrative around fraud, report it, let's talk about it, make it normal to be able to share, hey, I think I got some weird text, what do you think about this? And AARP has a lot of additional resources, just check us out on the website, as well as the County of San Diego. And if you learned something today, please share it with your loved one, because I want this to continue to spread so we can help build a scam smart San Diego. And catchphrase, if you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here today. Oh, last thing I wanted to highlight, because I think this group would love this, is, do you mind clicking to the next slide? I don't know if I lost it.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Just the next one. So on June 20th, we're actually, the Elder Justice Task Force is doing a presentation on elder abuse, financial abuse in San Diego County. So these are the top experts doing this work. So we'll have the District Attorney's Office, the FBI, and Identity Theft Resource Center, as well as the County of San Diego. So if you want to hear from the people literally putting these cases together, taking down criminals, June 20th, it'll be at the County of San Diego Chambers. We'd love to have you all there. It's not too far away from here, and you really get to hear from the experts on this topic. Yeah.
So if you throw things in your trash, you shouldn't do that, you should shred it.
We encourage shredding or ripping it up.
But, you know, I was thinking like, I don't put it in recycling, I put it in trash, but when you're saying the trash, that's not good enough, you have to shred it.
Right. So really, like, personal information or sensitive documents, tax forms, etc., shred. I like to recycle my stuff. I think it's still better in general if you can recycle, but if you shred it first, it's better. Or cross off or take off your personal information.
Recycling, nothing, just want to put it in trash, we have separate trash, recycling trash. So if it has personal information on it, put it in trash. If you're saying that's not even safe.
You can put it in the trash after you've crossed off your name or cut it up. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, we have one here, and then we'll pass the mic around. Yes.
I have a question. I just wondered if you're recording all the classes have listed there.
We're not recording every class, but this one is recorded because your friends at Tier Village are amazing. I love the village model, and they're recording it, so it'll be available for you all. Cybersecurity classes are a little bit tough to record because they're like hands-on. You're going through people's phones with them to set up the different passwords and stuff like that. We'll figure out recording June 20th.
That's the one.
Oh, that's the one. Okay.
I'm trying to.
And then shred events, not much to record there, but you're welcome to come. Yes.
Question here, yes. What I'd like is more information on that illegal transfer of title, because there are a lot of ads that say sign up for special service and we can prevent that. But you know, the thing is, there must be a way through the county. So if you could give more information on how we can protect ourselves from having the title to our home illegally transferred.
Yeah, that's a great question. I just heard.
What is the question?
The question is about the title transfer scam that was happening here in San Diego County. But what's interesting is there's a lot of people offering pay for services to let you know if the title to monitor. There's one that's like $20 a month, for example. But what's really great about our county is the County of San Diego assessor, Jordan Marks. He noticed this was an issue. He prides himself on really great customer service. So they created their own owner alert system that's free for San Diego County residents. But you have to look up Owner Alert San Diego.
Do you have
Owner Alert.
Do you have any contact information for
Yeah.
that?
I can give it to the community. I actually got one of these that talks about the owner.
Oh,
alert. So I
perfect.
have actually the website and I can give it to you.
Great.
And put it on that email. That'd be great.
But the County of San Diego, the County of San Diego assessor, his website, he'll have the where you sign up, and basically it'll notify you if someone tries to submit documents under your address type of thing. Because I don't know if you all heard the story. Someone living in the parking lot of Petco Park decided to figure out a system. Transfer the title of Petco Park to his name. And that's when they were like, oh, this is actually a real issue. Why is it that easy for someone to do that? And so then they developed the owner alert system to help with that. And Petco Park has been restored, don't worry. Any other questions from the group? If not, I know the part that you're all waiting for is actually the opportunity drawing. So thank you all so much for being such a great audience.
Hey, just really quickly, just want to reiterate the resource table over here. This card is, I think the communications that you'll receive a lot of the numbers, but this is also a good card. I have it by my desk. So this is the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline. So if you want to pick up one of those, and also at the table is the next events, as you see that Tiffany put up here on the screen, including the flyer for the shred events. So Tiffany, I believe so. Tiffany, they're shredding right on site, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I'll be there to help you unload it out of your car.
Oh, thank you. Because I'm going. And also at the resource table, Tiffany discussed the sweepstakes for win a new iPad, and actually that started on May 6th through July 31st. I know some people don't like to scan the QR codes, so there is the email, the address there, so you don't have to scan it, because I know sometimes they put things in time.
This particular presentation, we'll be posting it to the Tierra Santa Village Facebook page. We're
Perfect.
quite happy to share the link to that with you if you'd like to include it in your thank you email that you send to the group.
Well, it should go on Monday. Would you like to give me your time? Yes.
We'll have it to you tomorrow.
So who did not get a raffle ticket? Because I know there might have been a couple people.
Mine real quick if I just shared the owner alert.
Oh, sure.
If you all have pen and paper, the link to sign up for the owner alert is sdarcc.gov. It's sdarcc.gov. And I'll have it right here too if you want to save it.
Yeah, can you put that, Mark, can you put that in our thing? Whoops, I just lost it.
I'm just gonna.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started because it's with the opportunity drawing. And Renee's going to assist with that. And we've got 5 of those.
First winner is 049324.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
049-319.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
And would you like to pick the next? Watch the next one. 049-313.
I know, it gets immediately when we didn't notice.
049-313.
Okay.
This is the person who said I won. I'm not gonna win anything. So
And like.
49329.
329.
That's you.
Maybe have someone from that side draw on. To make it feel a little.
if there's anyone from that side, I'll come to that. Okay, 049-338.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Thank you.
Last one.
Sure. Sorry, 339, 049-339.
339?
Yes. 049-339. Before he picks this, he says. It's not, does anyone have that number? 049-339.
That's weird. Good.
Okay, 049-309.
Oh. Congratulations to all the winners. Okay, so this concludes. Thank you again for being here and making your safety a priority. Remember, as Tiffany says, pause and verify. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.